All right, so I'm going to record it as well. So, guys, we have got news about Bull Wololo. Look at this. Dude, we're literally here as the channels are being added. You could not get here earlier. Should I move chat window slightly? Because I think you guys are in the way. I can't believe you guys are making it all about you, Jesus. No, we've got info. We've got announcements coming through. Info has been released. So we have got 1, 2, 4, and it looks like something might be coming from Age of Mythology. We'll get to that. But we need to start off with 1, because 1's an interesting one. Wasn't expecting this, but there's a $30,000 prize pool. Looks like it's going to be the final 2 on LAN, as they done last time. A little bit surprised it's 30K. That's actually a big deal for Vietnam. I am a bit gutted there's no ROW seats. I thought Vietnam would be the focus, but if we'd done this again, there'd at least be an opportunity for 2 people to qualify from the rest of the world, right? So, like, you don't even need to exclude Vietnam from that. I know ping can be an issue, but it would have been an interesting approach. 2, I mean, of course, it's going to be the big golden goose here. $150,000 coming in. Very big pog for the AOE community. I'm sure they're over the moon. Remind me if I'm wrong, chap. I'm pretty sure Legacy had 150K as well, right? And then, if I'm not mistaken, was AOE 4 250K? Are those numbers correct? Let me quickly check, because I'm pretty sure those numbers were correct. So, RedBull Wololo Legacy. 200K. Okay, so the number's actually down for 2. And 4 was 300K. So 200K, 300K. Okay. So the number's gone down. So, like, realistically, that means AoE 4 is going to be what? 225K? We have a problem. We'll get to the prize pool in a sec, but we need to talk about this. The grand final of the Age of Empires 4 tournament will take place live at the iconic Castillo de Almodóvar de Rio. Beautiful. However, while the legendary castle awaits the ultimate showdown, a comprehensive qualification stage featuring all the best players will unfold, using a combo of double and single elim to determine who will go against Marine Lord. Wait, so Marine Lord's auto-invited? Okay, so first of all, I've just got to address this. Like, winner stays on formats are spicy. I like to see them tried, but I'm going to be real with you. I worked WSOEs that done this as their format, and they were tough to justify. Although this isn't going to be a problem with Marine Lord because he is a Chad Lord, I still distinctly recall doing a Dota 2 event with WSOE using this format, and Team Serenity had disbanded. So they basically reassembled to play the tournament, and I remember it being one of the biggest stomps I've ever seen in the history of a grand final in Dota 2. That shouldn't be a problem here unless Marine Lord decides to just get fat, eat popcorn, and not play AoE4 for the rest of the year. But still, that's kind of wild. So 1 player's going to go. That's it. The money's got to be good, right? Because we just said, like, 200K to 150 for AoE2. It was 300K, so surely we go down to 225. 50K. This is tough because I understand fully, and we've got to really, really hone in on this, because I understand fully from RedBull's perspective, right? The numbers weren't impressive, but I actually legitimately think that was formatting that didn't help. I mentioned this earlier, that if you really want AoE4's numbers to be big, you treat RedBull Wololo as a marketing endeavor. You do not release the new civs until after RedBull completes. You literally show off the RedBull civs, right? Like, you know, Ottomans and Malians, and then boom, the moment the tournament finishes, you drop them to everyone publicly. Because if you don't do it that way, everyone's just playing them themselves instead of watching the tournament. That didn't help. I was expecting smaller, but this is brutal. You're talking about a scene full of players right now, a lot of them that are questioning where their future lies, with options opening up. Zero Space, Stormcade, uncapped games, unannounced game, right? They're weighing up where their future and where the future of RTSs lies. And now you're telling them that the peak of this year is going to be $50,000. Oh, sorry. No, wait, you're right. This is $5 million, guys. We just need to take the decimal point out. No, so, all seriously, this is $50,000. We're going to lose players. I'm just going to say that. We are actually going to lose pro players. I predict in the next 3 months, 6 known names at least will exodus from the scene. After the qualifiers, another 4. There is only a handful of players that can exist without big tournaments, if we're being real. Don't get me wrong. I actually think all players should try content creation because you shouldn't just rely on prize pools. But still, right? Like Beastie, Marine Lord, Dumu, Lucifron to a certain extent, I think. But I think Lucifron genuinely is going to explore other games. I don't want to speak for him, but he's doing well in other games. Vortex. There's only so many players that actually like do well on content creation. Voldemort, Chadlord will keep existing, of course. He has his coaching. But like, this was my worry, is now we're in a cycle of 3 years in a row where the prize pools have gone down, right? Right? Because it's 125k for Golden League 1. Golden League 2 was it 75k? Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. We haven't got a Golden League this year as far as we know. So this is the biggest tournament. And with 50k. And once again, like, dude, no hate to Red Bull. I understand why Red Bull wants this. My frustration truly comes at Microsoft. Because the problem here is that you're meant to be angling AoE 4 to be the next big RTS, right? And some AoE 2 people aren't going to like me saying this, but like, being real with you, AoE 2 is not going to be the next big RTS. It has been a big RTS. It does phenomenally well. I'm incredibly proud of the community that they've built. I'm astonished by it. It's incredible. But you need something new for the casual players. And AoE 2 takes you a long time to like even integrate, right? Like, it reminds me of CS, where I marvel at CS. But like, if you compare CS and Valorant, especially when Valorant first came out, it's much easier to indoctrinate new players into Valorant than CS. So Microsoft, like, this is a failure by Microsoft. After the terrible announcement campaign with like the live stream, and now this is not an endorsement of AoE 4. This is a fart in the wind and a middle finger and a salute, right? Like, the problem of what this is saying we don't have faith in AoE 4. Because if we did have AoE 4 faith, we'd be doubling down on it, right? Which is wild to me because the game is in its best state it's ever been. The thing that keeps laying it down is marketing. Time and time again. The wild part is we literally just had an announcement. Well, not literally just, but like a few months back. The best-selling expansion in the history of the franchise. Yeehaw! We done it, boys! And then, like, this happens. And like I said, I get it from Red Bull's. And it isn't just because like I like the Red Bull people and like working with them. Like, I legitimately get it from Red Bull's perspective. If Red Bull has the choice, they'll be like, pass on AoE 4. But it is in Microsoft's best interest to do AoE 4 the big boy here. And is it actually Empire Wars? I keep seeing Empire Wars. I don't see anywhere it's saying Empire Wars. So nothing about Empire Wars. We should be safe from that. Because, like, let's be real, Empire Wars hasn't been tweaked or balanced in, like, months. Wait, does it actually say it? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, help. Wait, okay, so all I'm gonna say, for realsies, I hope this is a BO15. Because if this is a BO7, it's going to be the shortest grand finals I've ever seen in an Age of Empires event. Empire Wars, especially if like there's not a lot of tournaments focusing around it, it's going to be really snowbally, I think. I know why it's needed in 2. I'm not sure it's needed in 4. I know I've said before that I think Dark Age in 95% plus of situations is kind of redundant in AoE 4. But, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, someone who like has been watching AoE 2 recently, I haven't watched it recently, their Dark Age is a lot longer than AoE 4's, right? Wow. That's... We'll see if they stick to that. I mean, like okay, so something I want to credit Red Bull with is like they've been very receptive of feedback from players in the past. So maybe if people show them the average length of games, they'll be like, okay, no, fair. Like we'll scrap the Empire Wars part. Because I don't think it actually needs to be Empire Wars. I know why it needs to be in AoE 2, but I'm not sure it needs to be in 4. Then again, like in fairness, Red Bull created the Empire Wars concept, right? And it has grown to be an integral part. So maybe they can make it work. Like, I want to give them the credit where credit's due. Maybe they find a way to make it work. We've got Socotra coming in, though. Like, that map hasn't been used anywhere, right? That's a bit surprising. Volcanic Island's kind of interesting. But we'll come back to this in a sec. But, like, what I'm going to say, like, once again, just to re-emphasize, if you just tuned in and are wondering, like, you know, what my opinion is on this, say bye-bye to a lot of your favorite people. This is going to kill a lot of people's incentivization to play competitive AoE4. That's brutal. All right. Is there a future VM Mythology? Let's find out. We're incredibly excited to have the incredible soon-to-be-released game be part. Woohoo! But they're not ready yet. Okay, so we do not have info on that, which I expected, to be honest, right? So let's highlight how they can turn this wet fart into a success for both RedBull and Microsoft. Age of Mythology is the least known of the Age of Empires titles. That's just a reality. It was the worst selling of all of the Age of Empires titles. Not because it's bad. I actually think Age of Mythology is one of the greatest campaigns ever created in the history of RTS. Preach. No one can argue with that. Anyone who's played it should not argue with that. It's incredibly well made. I think Giant Grant Games had a fantastic video going over this. I think he even called it the best RTS campaign ever. Right? It's a phenomenal game from that POV. The problem, though, is from a marketing perspective, is the least known of one. We're going to do this test again because I've done it earlier and it's very intriguing. Watch that chat up there. Guys, if you call it the Age of series, press 1. If you call it the Age of Empires series, press 2. This is going to tell you a lot. Because most people call it Age of Empires. And that was one of the big problems, is a lot of people don't even know this is an Age of Empires game. Most people don't realize it's part of the franchise, really. Right? So that's going to be an initial marketing issue. But it's also what hurt it originally. It's why I believe Age of Empires 3 saw better than Mythology, right? Back in the days. So, like, the tough part with this, the way you do this right, if they want to nail this, they want to slam dunk it out of the park, here's how you fix it. Here's how you do it right, Microsoft. Age of Mythology does not have a clear release. This is going to be dodgy, but hear me out. It does not have a clear release date. Or you could kind of announce it beforehand, but I think it's better to, like, not. And hear out why. You do a show match or a tournament for RedBull Wololo of Age of Mythology. What you do is you either do a show match between two of the best ever, or you invite several of the best players historically. So we're talking people, and you can mix it up. You can invite 4 of the best people from Mythology historically, 2 from 4, 2 from 2, to play in a tournament. And you play out that whole tournament across one day. So top 8 players, right? And then, the moment the grand finals finish, you cut to the desk. Could I maybe be on the desk? Wink. And then, I would love the honor of being able to do that, being able to announce after, like, whoever it is, whoever's on the desk, they literally get to sit there and go, it is my pleasure to announce that as of this moment, Age of Mythology has been launched. Right? You do it the moment that it finishes. And then that is the single biggest marketing element you can have to your release. The amount of people that will flock in and play Mythology all of a sudden. Boom. Be gone. Right? I don't expect them to do it that way because people just like to have fixed dates now, right? They used to see this style more for like betas and whatever. But that's what it needs. That's the way you kind of make this work. I'm still skeptical because I think Age of Mythology has a similar limitation to AoE 2. And people hate the word limitation. They think I'm going to flame AoE 2. I'm not. The limitation is it's a nostalgia play. It is a good game, as is 2, but the reality is it's much harder to reel in new players with what is technically an older game that's been spruced up compared to a fresh release where people were like, oh, Age of Empires 5, pick it up. So that's going to be their challenge, is I still think compared to 4, like the market potential is limited. And that's why I have to go back to this and say that this breaks my heart. To go from 300,000 to 50,000 in 2 years, there's a haircut, and then there's having about as much hair left on my head as Dumu after a fresh trip to the barbers. You know, like, this is brutal. There's nothing left. We've gone, and we're just taking everything out of it. And the problem now is, like, okay, so let's quickly, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of estimate, based on how the year's been going, prospectively, how much money is going to be in existence in the Age of Empires 4 scene per year. Let's do this quickly, because this is very important. You have to really understand the thought process for players, because there's a difference between prize pools being low and a game growing, and a game not conceivably growing in people's... like, it's shrinking instead, right? You could argue Age of Empires 4 started off too big. Fair enough. But let's be totally real. Regardless of whether that's the case or not, let's have a look at prize pools, and you may notice a distinct difference here. This year, right here, sits at 250, 450, over $500,000 in prize pools for 2022. 2023, we always knew it was going to be a down crawl because the second year, people calmed their tits a bit. That's sitting 125k off of S tier events. Let's assume A tiers add in another 25, so 150. We are now 4 months into the year. We're a quarter way through the year. We've had a 25k price pool and some small tricklings that maybe add up to 5 to 10. And now we're going to add another 50k on the tail end. Let's assume we get 35k per stun. I think you're on course, honestly. Like, let's say the 50k in the final quarter is kind of that is it. So you're looking at maybe 35, 120k. It's lower again. These numbers are trekking down. And the problem with that is now, on top of that, with all these other games we mentioned, like Stormgate, like Zero Space, like uncapped games, unannounced game, and God knows what else is coming down the windpipe, right, in that kind of industry. These players are now looking and going, maybe I just try my luck with this game. Because maybe I could be a content creator in this game because they aren't established content creators in Zero Space or Stormgate yet. And also, like, maybe the prize pools are going to be lower at first, but if the game is growing, those numbers can go up, right? And here's another thought for you. Stormgate, like, featured a dream hack, right? Now, it doesn't mean guaranteed ESL is going to support it, but as a player thinking about, ooh, who's going to be involved in this scene, I see the potential for a big player to be involved in the scene. And I know that EGC are probably going to be involved in this scene for Stormgate because they literally done the first major tournament for Stormgate, so it's probable. So, like, now you have an issue because the thing that a lot of players have been waiting for, that they've been coveting, praying for, that is going to save their bacon, save the game, and give a player who's grinding God knows how much per year someone to look forward to. That's now the peak in their eyes. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. And I'm not saying this to be negative, dude. I always try to say that I'm looking for a positive outcome, an upside, you know, a way to move forward that is good for the scene, that is good for everyone, right? But I have to call a spade here. We're going to lose a bunch of people. I may have already like had messages from 1 or 2 people that just bluntly said they're exploring other things now. They're not outright going to stop AoE4, but they're assessing their future. And I know they're not the only ones. I've been hearing rumors of others. That breaks my heart. As someone who has put countless hours into this game for 3 years. One of the people who's put, like, I don't want to say, I don't want to turn it into a measuring contest. It's not one of the most, but I've definitely put a lot of hours in, regardless of what numbers are for everyone else. We're not creating a leaderboard of who's burnt more time, right? But, like, this breaks my heart. I came from Dota 2, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, I was having a hard time in Dota 2. I was having a hard time getting back on to big events. It was a rough time after missing out on DPC League. But I made a conscious choice. I looked at AoE4. I played AoE4, and I went, you know what? It's rough, but this could be the next big RTS thing. And that's why I committed time. That's why I built up this incredible community. But, like, this... reading this gives me a sinking feeling. And once again, dude, I don't want anyone to send any hate towards RedBull. It's in their interest, right? The numbers they saw on 2022, we always knew it was going to be smaller. It had to be. But I think, especially with the fact that we were told to chill and wait, and maybe, you know, like, we were trying to speculate on what's going to happen, this was a bit of a heartbreaker. And don't get me wrong, EGC, POG are going to help do the qualification stage. So basically the rest of the tournament online. But I think for most people tuning in, especially if they're not familiar with the state of AoE4 or whatever, this does read like a show match. A fairly lucrative show match at 50k, right? Like 30k of it up for grabs between the two of them. But it does read like a show match. It's going to be a tough one. I think a lot of people are going to need some time to digest this one, but I hope this isn't the end of AoE4. I really do hope this isn't the end of AoE4. But the message that Microsoft has sent with this, because here's the thing, like I said, you know, people can say that RedBull like made this. No, like Microsoft has the final say on tournaments, guys. Publishers have the final say. They can literally tell you can't run a tournament they really want. But, like, I would rather they just bluntly set up... Like, it's cool that we got the announcement name, right? But, like, compared to where the original announcement was, I think a lot of people felt like someone big was coming, and that's why it was delayed, right? And once again, big shout out to Red Bull for being willing to make for part of the tournament again. And who knows, maybe like we have to hunker down as a tight-knit community, and this game grows again, and then maybe next year Wololo are like, oh, actually, no, let's do 100k now, and let's have 4 players online. And then maybe it's like, oh, let's do 200k, and let's have 8 players online. Maybe it regrows, and I really hope it does. But the thing that is really bumming me out is that 4 really could be in such a better position right now if the marketing being done around the game done what the game is justice. 4 is by far in the best possible location, best possible position it's ever been design and balance wise right now, off the back of the best selling expansion in the history of the Age of Empires franchise. They said that, right? And between what happened on that huge Age of Empires announcement stream between 2, 4, whatever, like, let's be real, for a start, that was just a showcase of 2. We never expected a new expansion announcement, but we were hoping that there would be some of the praise. And then to lead through to this, it breaks my heart because I know we're going to lose players. We're going to lose some of the top pro players, I think. And 4, despite the incredible work that's been put in by the developers, may now struggle to continue to grow, which breaks my heart. Because I think it deserves to. Once again, really just want to round this out by saying big shout out to Red Bull. Like, this isn't on them. They didn't even really have to do this. But from a Microsoft side, and at the risk of basically getting, like, I don't know, booted from the partner program or just having drinks chucked in my face whenever I meet a Microsoft employee from the marketing department, I think it's a Microsoft L. Big shout out once again, load of Red Bull. Thank you for including us, and hopefully it ends up being an incredible event. Hopefully just even this one event online proves how epic it is, and maybe Microsoft and whatnot reassess. But the next several months, I think, are going to be a hard-hitting time for everyone who is heavily or fully invested in Age of Empires 4. And the initial outlook might not be pretty. Maybe I should add this on to the end, because I think it is really important to hit this. Once again, not blaming Red Bull. Please invite me. But no, seriously, I'm not blaming Red Bull. The idea of doing Empire Wars here, really need to hit on this, is that they're trying to find new formats that fit their show style, and that's not a bad idea, right? They turned into, like, the World Cup for Age of Empires 2. They didn't ask to be it. And in fairness, like, every tournament being the same format, if AE4's numbers aren't insanely big, maybe we do need different formats to try and find a new way, right? Like, I know most people don't like Empire Wars. I know the game hasn't been bounced around Empire Wars. I don't think anyone's under any disillusion that, like, the first major, like, well, second major Empire Wars tournament, because EGC done one, is likely to be messy in a LAN environment. That's a possibility. But maybe by exploring that and trying new formats, they could grow the audience. We had this discussion the other day that literally everything in Age of Empires 4 revolves around 1v1s. So that alienates anyone who wants team games, free-for-all tournaments, these type of things, right? You don't think that the FFA Outback Octagon tournament Strongo done brought in new people from a new perspective? They probably did bring them into the ecosystem. So actually, I want to praise Red Bull on that they're trying a different format. Because if they looked at the numbers last time and they didn't like the numbers they saw for AoE4, and they're thinking, what can we do different to try and bring in a new audience? Empire Wars is probably the most obvious thing to try. And Empire Wars probably could be good with a bit more balance. I think it just needs time and needs tweaks. And to be honest, outside of that one tournament EGC ran, there's been zero focal point from a competitive standpoint or from a development standpoint on that mode. So it's not the worst idea. But, you know, round this out, my sadness aside, because I'm going to stick this at the end of the YouTube video, I hope this isn't the end of AoE4. Either way, I think this is going to be a very hard point in the future of Age of Empires 4. Who knows? Maybe 5 years from now, we'll laugh about this and we'll be the biggest RTS on the planet and we'll be wiping our ass with $50 bills. Getting there is going to be a long road. Hopefully, it's one that me and others can survive. not, see you on the other side. And I just want to end this by pointing out that people shouldn't go like hating around, because I think there is going to be a bit of that. Don't hate on the AoE2 people. Don't hate on the AoE1 people, because they almost got a bigger prize pool than you. Don't hate on people like AOM. Don't hate on RedBull for sure. Like, dude, they're running events for us that otherwise wouldn't be there. Criticism is important. That's why I done this video, because it's important to criticize and highlight where things could be better. And even in the criticism of Microsoft, I'm not flaming. I'm not burning them down and screaming about them. I'm saying what could be done better, and I've always said and tried to show ways that it could be done better. Age of Empires 4 is in its best state. If now is not a good enough reason for Microsoft to put funding behind it, proper funding, significant funding to reboom it, it's hard to see when will be. Who knows? Maybe that 5-10 year plan is one we'll have to come up with. Maybe it's something we'll have to build ourselves. Time will tell.